Hello everyone, it's Chantel from Crochantel and welcome to this tutorial on how to crochet an amigurumi football. If you'd like the PDF version of this pattern, please check out the description for more details. So the materials that you'll need include a 5mm crochet hook, a darning needle, a stitch marker, as well as some scissors. You'll also need 24mm safety eyes, some polyfill stuffing, super bulky yarn in brown and white, as well as some white acrylic yarn and black super bulky yarn. And please pause to read the terminology and abbreviations you will need to know for this video. So to start, taking your brown yarn, you are going to create a magic ring. I personally like to close off my magic rings before working single crochets into them. And then for row 1, you are just going to work 8 single crochets into the magic ring. And then for row 2, you are just going to do a single crochet and then an increase for a total of 4 times, and by the end of the row you should have a total of 12 stitches. And then for row 3, all you are going to do is do 2 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 4 times. By the end of the row, you should have a total of 16 stitches. For row 4, we are going to be increasing to 20 stitches around, and to do that, we are going to do 3 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 4 times. And then for row 5, we are just going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 4 times, and by the end of the row you should have a total of 24 stitches. This will be our last row working in brown. And if you plan on working in continuous rows, simply color change to white right now. But for me personally, for a cleaner color change, I like to slip stitch into the next stitch to fasten off, and then attaching my white yarn a couple stitches over. This just helps give a cleaner look to the color change. So here I am attaching my white yarn a couple stitches over from where I finished off the previous row. And then just getting straight into row 6, I am just going to do 5 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 4 times around. And by the end of the row, you should have a total of 28 stitches. The clean color change is honestly just a personal preference. Maybe you have your own way of doing clean color changes in continuous rounds, but I just find this makes it a lot easier. And then getting started on row 7, this will be our last row of white. We are going to do 6 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 4 times. So by the end of the row, you will have a total of 32 stitches. And then once again, if you are working in continuous rounds, just color change here, but I am just going to slip stitch into the next stitch, cut off my yarn, and then attach my brown yarn in a new position. So here I am attaching the brown yarn, chaining 1, and then getting started on row 8. You're just going to do 7 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 4 times around. So by the end of the row, you will have a total of 36 stitches. And then getting started on row 9, this will be our last row of increasing. We are going to do 8 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 4 times. So by the end of the row, you will have a total of 40 stitches. And then for the next 7 rows, rows 10 to 16, you are just going to single crochet around. So that is a total of 40 stitches per row for a total of 7 rows. And this is what it should look like once you have completed these 7 rows. So then getting started on row 17, we are going to start increasing, and to do that we will do 8 single crochets and then a decrease for a total of 4 times. So by the end of the row, you should have a total of 36 stitches. And then getting started on row 18, this will be our last row of brown. We are going to do 7 single crochets and then a decrease for a total of 4 times. So by the end of the row, you will have a total of 32 stitches. And once again, if you are working in continuous rounds, just color change as usual, or if you're following my strategy, slip stitch into the next stitch, cut your yarn, and reattach your white yarn in a new position. As you can see, I'm just attaching my white yarn, chaining 1, and then getting started on row 19. You're just going to do 6 single crochets and then a decrease for a total of 4 times. So by the end of the row, you will have a total of 28 stitches. Row 20 is going to be our final row of white, and for this row we are going to do 5 single crochets and then a decrease for a total of 4 times, so by the end of the row you will have a total of 24 stitches. And then for the final time, you are either going to just color change to brown or slip stitch into the next stitch to fasten off and reattach your brown yarn. We are now going to take the time to insert our safety eyes as well as begin the stuffing process. So one of the eyes should be inserted between rows 9 and 10, and the other eye will be inserted between rows 16 and 17. And then just attaching the backing, and then starting to stuff your football. And then getting back into crocheting, we are going to get started on row 21. I'm just attaching my brown yarn. Then for row 21, you are going to do 4 single crochets and then a decrease for a total of 4 times, so by the end of the row you will have a total of 20 stitches. Moving on to row 22, you are going to do 3 single crochets and then a decrease for a total of 4 times, so by the end of the row you will have a total of 16 stitches. For row 23, we are going to be decreasing to 12 stitches around, so to do that we are going to do 2 single crochets and then a decrease for a total of 4 times. And then just quickly take the time to continue stuffing your football to make sure that it is evenly stuffed around and that each end comes to a point. Continuing on to row 24, we are now going to do a single crochet and then a decrease for a total of 4 times, so that at the end of the row you can have a total of 8 stitches. And then moving on to our final row, row 25, we are going to do a total of 4 decreases around, so at the end of the row you will have a total of 4 stitches. And then you will just slip stitch into the next stitch to fasten off and cut your yarn tail. And now weaving through the last 4 stitches, you are just going to weave through the 4 stitches, pull the opening closed, and tie a knot and weave in your ends to secure. Now we are going to get started on the lacing on the top. So you are going to create the lace approximately 7 stitches above the eye. You'll be making it across rows 9 to 17 of the football. And you'll create a total of 3 lines just to ensure that the lacing is thick enough, but you can choose to do more or less. As you can see, I have finished my first line, and then I will do my second here, and then from my third line, I am going to go straight into the horizontal lines for the lacing. As you can see, I'm just in between the rows. You're going to pull your yarn through, and then each of these horizontal lines should be approximately 3 stitches. You may choose to do as many or as few laces as you'd like. I will show later on in this video that I did 8 laces on another football, but for this one I am choosing to just do 4. As you can see, it's just a simple process of weaving your yarn through. It's quite tedious, but it really helps with the final image of the plushie. So the outer 2 lines on either side are 2 rows apart, and the 2 lines in the center are 3 rows apart. And then once you have finished your lines and you are happy with how it looks, just create a knot and weave in your ends. So as you can see here, the football that I've just done has 4 horizontal lines, while the one on the right has a total of 8. We are now going to make the mouth, so to do that you are going to create a horizontal line across rows 12 to 14. Before pulling the line tight, take your needle and pull it up through 1 row and in the middle below your horizontal line. And then going over that horizontal line, you will insert your needle back through that same point to create a V, and then you will tie a knot to secure. And lastly, we are going to work on the eyeball. So you're going to take your needle and have it come out right underneath the middle of the eye, so between rows 9 and 10, underneath the eyeball. And then going above the eyeball, once again between rows 9 and 10, or 16 and 17. You're going to weave the yarn back through, and then just push it to the outer edge and lightly tuck it underneath the eye. You'll repeat this process for both sides. And this is what the finished plushie should look like. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing for more content such as this and give the video a like. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And just a reminder that if you would like the PDF version of this pattern, I have instructions on where to find them in the description. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.